So this is going to be a video to cover some of the basic features and functionality of the SAY NVR. I'm going to go over live video followed by playback and then exporting video to a USB device. Starting with live, you would typically start out in full screen mode, so you would have your camera view, whatever you set it to, and you would be able to see the live channels. So from this screen, you can double click on a channel and make it full screen. So then the next thing that you would do from here, if you would like to get some more options, is to right click. This is where you'll get your quick menu. There's a bunch of options in here for different features on the NVR. If you hover over the split screen menu option, you'll be able to choose from the different split screen layout options for live mode. This will allow you to change the view without leaving full screen mode. In order to get to the rest of the options and functionality, we're going to go ahead and leave full screen mode. You can do that by right clicking and going to the quit full screen option at the top of the quick menu. At the top of the screen is where you're going to have your options to switch between the different modes and functions. At the bottom of the screen is where you'll be able to change between the different split screen layouts for the live video. The left and right buttons will switch between the layout pages, so you can scroll between the different sets of cameras for each layout. If you want to move the channels to a different position, you can click and drag them from one spot to another. One thing that I need to note about this is it does actually change the channel in the settings. So in this case, it changed it from channel 4 to channel 12. There are a few more controls in the lower right of the screen. If you have a PTZ camera, you can click the PTZ icon to control that camera. Then you also have a capture button to take a screenshot, as well as a manual recording button to start manual recording, a button to hide the on-screen display and go back to full screen, as well as the button to start file backup. That should be pretty much it for live view. That covers most of the basic functionality for viewing live cameras on the system. Next I'm going to go over playback. So you're going to start with exiting full screen like we did with live. Then you're going to click on the playback tab at the top to switch to playback mode. On the right side of the screen, you're going to see the camera selection list. This is where you can select the cameras that you'd like to play back. Below the camera selection, you have the calendar. This shows the days that have recorded video. If they're a solid day, then they should have video available. Then below the calendar, you have the types of recording. This is where you can select what type of video you'd like to include in your search. Once you've selected the cameras that you want, and then you find the day and select that and pick your type of recording, then you just go down to the bottom and hit inquiry. This will populate the playback bar with the available video for each camera. On the left side of the timeline, you can use the up and down arrows to scroll between the different cameras. Above the time bar, you have the selections for the different split screen modes. The time bar is going to show when video is available for each channel. It will also be color coded based on what type of video it is. To start playback, you just double click on the time bar wherever you'd like to start playing the video from. You can also manually set the initial play time on the left side above the time bar. Once the video is playing, you have your different playback controls above the time bar. This is where you can pause, stop, fast forward, rewind. You can control the playback speed as well as step by frame. On the right side, you can switch to full screen during playback as well. Beside that, you have your export video and screenshot button. My NVR is set up for motion recording, so you can see here that camera 3 with more motion has pretty much continuous video, where camera 2 with a little less motion has small chunks of video. And that should be pretty much it for the playback mode and the basic playback functionality. Next I'll cover exporting video to a USB media device. We're going to start out by exiting full screen again and then going to the playback tab. In the video, I start by selecting some cameras and a date and then searching for the video. You don't actually have to start out by doing this, but this way I can set the time and see what video I have available. Next you're going to click the backup button, which is going to bring up the backup dialog. From here you can start by selecting which cameras you'd like to back up. These will be the same as the ones you selected if you did a search, but you can change them here as well. Then you can select the type of video you'd like to back up, as well as setting the start and end time for the video you would like to export to the USB. Once you've selected the parameters for the video you'd like to back up, then you can go ahead and click the calculate file size button. This will let you know how much room the files are going to take up on your device. If you look on the right side, it'll show you the unit as well, so make sure that you check to see if it's in gigabytes or megabytes. Video can be pretty large, so you can play around with the parameters and calculate the file size to get the right size that will fit on your drive. Next you'll click Browse, which will allow you to select where you'd like to export the video to. If you only have one USB connected, it should be selected by default. Then you can navigate to whatever folder you'd like to export it to, or create a new folder and select that one as well. Below the export location, it's going to show the space of your USB drive as well as how much is remaining. And once you have everything selected, you're just going to go ahead and click Start Backup. This is going to start the backup procedure, and it will start going camera by camera and exporting the video to USB. It can take quite a bit of time to back up depending on how long the time period is and how many channels that you've selected. It is possible to stop the backup while it's going. In the video I am going to do that since I noticed that it was going to take quite a bit of time, I'm going to select fewer channels and then set a shorter time period. You can see that with the changes that I've made, the file size for my export is quite a bit smaller. I'm going to go ahead and start the backup again. It's still going to take a decent amount of time, so I'm going to speed up the video here so that we can see it run through and finish without having to wait for it in real time. Once the export is complete, you should just be able to hit confirm on the backup success window and exit out of the backup dialog. Then you can just remove the USB media from the NVR and connect it to your computer to access the files. And that should cover the process of backing up media to a USB device. That should cover live video, playback, and exporting video to a USB device. If you have any questions about any of these or anything else, always feel free to reach out to support at saysecurity.com.